Welcome to Peculiar Stories, where we explore the fascinating world of near-death experiences and offer new perspectives on the meaning of life and death. Our goal is to shed light on these profound stories, deepen your understanding of life, and provide valuable insights to our audience. Whether you're new here or simply joining us again, we're thrilled to have you on this journey. If you enjoy what we do, consider subscribing to our channel to stay updated on our latest content. And don't forget to hit the like button to help our content reach a wider audience. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be transported to the edge of life and beyond. On today's story, Donovan claims being approached by a voice which identified itself as father and showed him a series of images from his life before taking him to see his family members in various locations. Without further ado, let's get to the story. My name is Donovan Miller. I was involved in a car accident on Sunday, June 19, 1977, around 1:20 in the morning. The policeman passed the stop sign where I had turned left as he continued down the straightaway, while I peered in my rearview mirror. The car was traveling at a speed of roughly 80 miles per hour, while in third gear down the straightaway. I reached down to grab the connector after noticing that my friend was struggling to find the correct location to buckle his seatbelt. The center of the road was covered in gravel as I turned around and glanced up at it. At 80 miles per hour, the automobile slammed into some gravel and swiftly slid to the left. I attempted to veer into a driveway to avoid running into the trees. I believed we had arrived at the driveway even though it was pitch black outside. "We made it," I declared. When I turned to look, all I could see was total darkness. "Where are you, my friend?" I said. There was silence. I appear to be strolling down the middle of the street, approaching an elderly woman. "I am a wreck," I declared. "I've messed up. I'm a hot mess." I reached up to feel my face, which was tingling and warm as I came closer to her. My sinuses were reached for with a finger. I turned to walk away from myself at that very time. I could see clearly. My body and I were relocating away from each other. I tried to grab myself by extending my hand. My hand moved through me as if nothing were there. I saw my body fall to the ground from about 3 feet behind myself. My eyesight briefly returned to being viewed from the perspective of my body. The street was right in front of me. Let's go back to the complete blackness. Then it appeared as though I was peering through a tree's branches. It was a dark, hazy vision. I questioned, "What is that?" My companion responded, "I don't know. What is it?" as I gave her my full attention. Similar to sunlight shining on a swimming pool's bottom, the visuals were warped. The brighter lines flowing across the area of view briefly brought the dim, fuzzy dark image into sharp focus. I informed my acquaintance that was my brother's vehicle. I could make out a police car to the left, some people standing behind it, an ambulance on the right, and a police car just in front of it. "That's us," my pal said. We both stated at that time, "We are dead." The image vanished as though with a flick of the fingers. I was completely in the dark and had a faint apprehension. Then a voice said, "Fear not," from up in front and to my right. "Do not be frightened." I said, "Who are you?" And my unease vanished. "Just call me Father," the replying voice said. Christ was heard in the very core of my existence. Suddenly images appeared in front of me, fuzzy and black, much like the sight below my companion and I in the automobile. Yet in a circle that curved up and away like a bowl, these images were all around me and filled my entire field of vision. I observed as a portion of the image become clearer and brighter. I could picture myself as a toddler, like a series of pictures running up and away, stacked one on top of the other. I watched as the corridors of images revealed my life at 3, 4, 5, and so on, until the bright area reached to the 3 o'clock position to my right, as it moved from the center in front of me to the left. Then all of a sudden I was in my mother's bedroom. "Hampton, it's okay," I told him when he woke up. The voice then said, "Is this not your mother?" and was on my right, up in the back. I replied, "Yeah." I could then see through my younger brother's door after turning my view to the right. "Is this not your brother?" the voice inquired. I replied, "Yeah." Then, in the space of a single blink, I was in front of my older brother's apartment, 12 miles distant. I could see my brother reaching out to open the apartment door as I peered through the steel security door of his apartment and down through the concrete floor of the second story. A shady figure was standing beside him. "Is this not your other brother?" a voice yelled from above, behind, and to my right. I began to say, "Charles," under the impression that I could communicate with the dog and that my brother was awake. "Save me from this. Charles, take me away from this. Is this not your other brother?" the monotone voice uttered once more. I said, "Charles," once more. "Take me away from this. Is this not your other brother?" the voice added later in a quieter tone. I replied, "Yeah." Yet all happened so quickly that I was driven to my father's apartment, which was located 15 miles away. I was hovering in the parking lot and peered inside his apartment to see him reading the newspaper while sitting on the couch. As I noticed this visage while flipping through the newspaper, I questioned the whereabouts of his wife. "She is in the bedroom, so I've been told." I then heard the question, "Is this not your father?" "Sure," I said. I quickly found myself back in the pitch black where I could see everything around me. Quickly, the previous quarter was scanned. I then became aware of the front and back. Behind me, voices sounded like 8 to 10 individuals were conversing at once. I was instructed by the voice above and to my right to turn and gaze to my right and around. I caught sight of myself dressed in a white robe. I feel as though I am dangling from a hook like you would hang a coat. My left wrist was being held at arm's length by my right hand, which was resting on my stomach with my head bowed. I sensed that the voice had disappeared when I turned to face forward, because I questioned what that was when I saw a bluish-white sesame seed in front of me. Up until that point, the voice had answered all of my questions. Nevertheless, this time there was no voice as I observed the blue sesame seed. I observed as either myself or the seed approached the other. A low-pitched rumble was audible at lower frequencies. The tone of the low pitch began to rise as I approached the seed, or the seed approached me. Light started to flood my eyes as soon as the seed and I came together, as if it were being poured into my head from a pitcher. As the light began to become more visible, the low-pitched sound changed to a high-pitched ringing. As I became aware that there were people nearby, I heard a ching sound, as to a sword being drawn from its sheath. "Why did you do that?" a man kept asking me. I'd answer, "What did I do?" After then, my father yelled aggressively, "Answer the officer!" Then I said, "What did I do?" "You know what you did," my father said. I then turned to look at my feet and noticed that they were bound. I noticed my brother Charles when I glanced down at my feet. "Charles! Charles! What did I do?" I yelled. "You damaged my automobile," Charles stated as he approached me from my right side. Klein passed away. A scorching sensation of pins and needles, similar to when your arm falls asleep, began to spread along the length of my body at that very time, starting at the top of my head. My body tingled with the worst pain I've ever experienced as I lay on the stretcher with my wrists and ankles bound. The anguish caused me to pass out. I soon woke up in jail, but as a doctor was inserting packs in my broken nose at West Paces Ferry Hospital, I finally became fully awake. The doctor informed me that I would be kept for observation. I got up and went around the corner to collect my clothing after he had departed. My mother saw me for the first time when I forced the emergency room doors open. I could not go. The nurse was strolling behind me and telling me. I was questioned, "Where are you going?" by my mother. I proclaimed, "I'm going home." "You need to stay here," she said. I replied, "No, I must return home to make sure I'm still alive." As my mother saw me leaving the hospital, she stopped dead in her tracks. There were several weeks. I was obviously misled by my memories regarding the actuality of my near-death experience. I attended a party in an effort to restart my life. Leslie saw me standing in the center of the space and came over to give me a hug. "You have no idea how nice it is to see you," she said. "You don't realize how nice it is to see you," I retorted. "I was out that night of your vehicle accident with your brother," she remarked. When he turned to me and stated, "Something has happened," we were about to leave his flat. Leslie gave me a hug and asked me what was wrong as I started to cry in the middle of the room. "It was not a dream," I declared. "What was not a dream?" she inquired. I mentioned being present. Charles and I tried to speak. I died. It wasn't a dream either. I was convinced that I had passed away at that point. Well, you might think Donovan's experience was crazy, but check out this next story, where a woman was shown the amazing creation process of the universe and every living thing in it.